urban poor. We would request the panelists for this session to please join us on stage. Dr. S.K. Sharma, Principal Secretary, Corporation Department, Government of Maharashtra. Chetna Gala Sinha, Founder Chair, Man Mahila Desi Cooperative Bank. We would request everybody to clap for the people who are joining us on the dais. Mr. Sanjay Silas, Executive Vice President, Rural Banking, Axis Bank. Mr. M.N. Smart, CEO, Associate Cooperative Bank Limited. Mr. Narendra Behra, CEO, Greater Bank, and Dr. Subhatra N. Das, Director, Maharashtra Remote Sensing Application Center.
Panelists to express themselves about the topic. We have the topic of this session is rural and urban poor. In fact, I think it is the most important topic for financial inclusion, because that is the area where we really want to address one. That is the area we are not just talking about access to banking, but want to really engage and see that in today's morning session, CM said that we want to create a wealth and value among those people. So how bankers can create a wealth and value among urban and rural poor, that would be really important. And I look forward for our panelists to address that. And I start with Mr. Sanjay Silas, Executive Vice President, Rural Banking, Axis Bank. So, sir, I would like to request you to share your opinion. And we have 5 minutes for each panelist. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll quickly give some small statistics and the financial services plan by the Government of India, which actually is the bedrock of how we are developing the financial inclusion part, which has been through microfinance long years back. But banking per se has started getting into it big time the last 5-6 years through corporate business correspondent as well as through their unbanked branches. So it is the digital plan, and finally if you look at it, when we talk about reaching the last corner, last mile of for the unbanked, I don't think it will be humanly possible to go through human people. It is digitalization through one resource which will help the country reach its goal. The digital plan says connecting all the Gram Panchayats through broadband network by 2019. Governance and services which is pertaining to the banking industries on real-time and accessible platform, financial transactions to be electronic and cashless. Digital empowerment and renewed focus on National Digital Literacy Mission. Now, we look at some small statistics which tells us what exactly we are getting into. 70% of our population is rural population, 73% is the literacy rate, and we have 40% of the population has only financial access. There's 60% of rural population which is not having banking relationships. With the present Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, with 12 crores people who've been covered under financial inclusion, that is the step ahead. As far as Axis Bank is concerned, we are reaching the urban poor and the rural poor through our unbanked branches, which we are 576 in number across the whole country. We are using the business correspondent model with our partners Idea and Airtel for remittances, etc., and account opening at places like Dharavi as well as rural areas. What we are building right now is a platform where the business correspondent and a branch banking model converge towards giving the best of services to our rural population and even in the urban areas. It's a journey which we are taking across. I was speaking to my other panelists. We do face network issues, broadband issues and I think I was speaking to Dr. Das from the government of Maharashtra. We're discussing about how this can be taken forward. So this is from our side, from Axis Bank, how we are taking our journey towards financial inclusion, towards rural poor banking, and we are using digitalization to a great extent to ensure that it reaches to the right person, as well as it is cost effective to the organization as well as the government. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Silas. Financial inclusion, not just with subsidies, but which can be affordable. Mr. Silas actually expressed that how financial inclusion can create a business model for the bankers and also create an inclusive growth for the poor. And now I would request Mr. M.N. Smart, CEO, Associate Cooperative Bank Limited. Mr. Smart has traveled from Surat, and it's a pleasure to have him here with us. Yes, Mr. Smart.
Thank you, madam. Good evening, everybody. Though I am I have come from Surat and from Cooperative Bank at Surat, Associate Cooperative Bank. It is a small bank at Surat, but it is a totally CBS bank having 3 branches in urban area only. We don't have exposure in village area or rural area, but we do cover the district area for the Janadhana Yojana accounts, and maximum number of accounts we are opening, we have opened, and now for every banker it is a time to work at the grassroots level for tapping up all these people who have got no bank account. Now our bank is also giving, apart from these banking services, all RTGS, NEFT services. Apart from that, we do give ancillary services also, like collection of utility bills and insurance facility also. Recently we have tie up with Birla Sun Life Insurance presently for loan account holders from 2 lakhs to 50 lakhs. Those who are actually borrowers, we can give them the life insurance coverage also. That we have started. And under the tie-up arrangement with Gujarat State Cooperative Bank, there is a Kalpataru Bima Yojana. For every account holder, we are giving them accident insurance up to ₹1 lakh also under the tie-up arrangement of Gujarat State Cooperative Bank. Basically, we know that once the Gandhiji also has said, anybody who stepped into the bank is a customer, either today or tomorrow. If we convince him, if today he is not a customer, if today he is not an account holder, tomorrow he is definitely going to become an account holder. So we always believe in the principle of Gandhiji, what he has said, and my team is working on it in a very short span of time. We have covered, we have developed a good goodwill in the city like Surat, as you are all aware that how much it is a business potentiality in Surat area is fastest developing city of India, and we are very proud that Honorable Prime Minister is also from our state, and he has implemented this Janadhana Yojana, and we are following it up totally, and this is the way how we are working also. I thank you very much, BFSI and Madam, for providing me the opportunity to speak before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smart. Coming from Gujarat, Surat, talking about financial inclusion, quoting Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you so much. I request Mr. Narendra Behere, CEO, Greater Bank. Narendra Behere, I know him personally a lot. So he has been taking a lot of responsibility in the cooperative banking sector and doing it very professionally. I would request Mr. Narendra Behere to have his views on rural and urban poor banking and financial inclusion.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening. In fact, I'll restrict my discussion to the extent that this banking for rural and urban poor, a role of cooperative banks rather. Since morning, whatever we have been discussing, I have a very strong feeling that this financial inclusion, rather the core segment, the cooperative banks have addressed that. Rather, in financial inclusion has been the key word since last few years, but cooperative banks have a tradition of more than 100 years. In fact, first cooperative bank started in 1904, so nearly 111 years now old. The cooperative banking tradition is more than 100 years old, and that financial inclusion has started from cooperative banks rather. These cooperative banks were formed by a local group or by people from the same community to meet the needs of that same locality or for the same community people. So that financial inclusion today what we call, in fact that has started from the beginning, very beginning when these cooperative banks were started. Today if we look at that cooperative banking sector as such, it has grown a multifold. Right now today if we see the number of banks all over India, 1,589 banks as per the Reserve Bank latest report, 1,589 cooperative banks, and with a business mix of nearly 5,15,000 lakh crore. But when we look at the figure, it is if we compare it with the banking industry as such, it is between 3 to 3.5%. But still, cooperative banks, why they are important? That they are important for the reason that the clientele that they serve, the clientele which they serve, in fact, even as per the RBI, this document on policy document, vision document rather, it was very clearly stated that these banks are there for middle, lower middle and marginalized section. So we cater to the needs of these people for whom this financial inclusion in fact expected for. So if we see the bank size, the total number of banks, it is 1,589. But the other part is that out of these nearly 1,589 banks, 80% banks are only in 5 states. So if the financial inclusion has to really grow, apart from these 5 states, mainly it is Maharashtra where 1/3 of the banks are there. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. But for these 5 states, other states put together, it is just 20% banks. So financial inclusion in real sense, if it has to grow, the cooperative banks will have to grow in other states as well. And in fact, that Malegaon committee report which has come few years back, thereafter the RBI has to take a view on that. And if the policy for issuing licenses for new cooperative banks takes place, then perhaps these cooperative banks can take root in other states as well. There was, in fact, there was a problem about the financial soundness after that Madhapura incident sometime in early 2001, 2002. And that number of cooperative banks went down from which was nearly 2005 and 2004. It is now 1,589. So it has gone down by 600. But what has happened in the process is that the Reserve Bank has taken steps to ensure financial soundness of these cooperative banks. So all these financial cooperative banks are now well aware about the professional implications, about the soundness, financial soundness, and they have to correlate their actions with their banking activities so that they can serve the people in a better manner. In fact, if we look at the cooperative banks, what way the cooperative banks are better, how they can serve the poor in a better manner, whether it is in rural sector or in the urban sector. In fact, if you see, cooperative banks have a very broad-based clientele. For, in fact, commercial banks, the entry point level, perhaps other than no frill accounts, it could be 5,000, 10,000 or more than that. Whereas in a cooperative bank, any person with 200 rupees, 500 rupees can walk in and open an account and be friendly with the bank people. So if we see the deposit potential, there is broad basing is there. Even for advances, a small person, even for consumption need can enter a cooperative bank, whether it can be 50,000 or 20,000 or 1 lakh or 2 lakh. So the broad basing of the clientele takes place in a true sense in cooperative banks. So this is one specialty as far as the cooperative banks are concerned. And how does it work better? The products are well suited for the customers, for the local needs, for those people around. In fact, the products are prepared in such manner. And the customer satisfaction is much better because the cooperative bank staff can interact with those people in local language. They can understand the terms. In fact, I'll just go a step further and say that KYC, when it was introduced by RBI, that is know your customer. Whereas in cooperative banks, I would say that the cooperative bank staff members not only know the customer, they even know the family members of the customer because there is some affinity. The entire crux of the thing is that because of the smallness of size and because the small person can enter a cooperative bank, that personal touch takes takes away the entire credit for that because of the personal touch, the person becomes comfortable. The level of customer satisfaction is quite high. Small loans, simple terms, in fact in local language, everything it is just possible for those people. That entry point, the barrier or that some sort of hesitation is definitely not there. So the cooperative banks have a long way to go if in fact this financial inclusion has to take place in a real sense. cooperative banks perhaps are most suited for that purpose. And for that purpose, in fact, there are certain issues which, in fact, this is not the right forum for that. Only my appeal before I close, in fact, my few words is that for the regulators, we have always two regulators. One is Reserve Bank and other is either state government or the central government. In fact, my appeal to the regulators is that along with that control and supervision, if they can adopt an objective policy of supporting growth and development, then perhaps it will really help that financial inclusion true sense. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Behre. Personal banking can really bring financial inclusion. That was a very inclusive statement. Now I go to Dr. Das, who is very interesting person for all of us, who is looking forward to create a digital village. Coming from ISRO, Dr. Das would talk about his very innovative ideas and experience.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I thank Bakshi Saab and the organizing for giving me a chance. I am not a banker. I am a technocrat. And I am using the technology called remote sensing and geographic information system. Friends, let me just explain you before I say something, like what is a remote sensing and what is GIS. Remote sensing is basically you sense anything without touching that particular object or going to that particular object. And you sense it, you analyze it, and then you give a decision out of that particular image or whatever. Your camera is also a remote sensing device. This device can be anywhere. It can be very near to you. It can be away from you. You cannot see this device. That is how the remote sensing works. The remote sensing is basically a data gathering phenomena or data gathering source. But once this data, from morning we are all listening to enormous amount of data which is being gathered for every banks. And we were talking about the security, the transactions which were happening. Apart from this, there are other databases which also can help to the banking sector. I was just going through that, and this topic is basically about empowering the poor and also in the insurance sector. So I was just thinking that how this technology can help in these particular two sectors. Friends, before I go to that, how it can be helped, but I also just want to talk about a little bit about GIS. This is basically a tool, a geographic information system. I know you people are very much aware about this. This is used in an extensive way, right from selling of the soap to the natural resources management. Here, we call this together as a geoinformatics, and this geoinformatics is coming up in a big way. But what is the cost, and what is the requirement for this? Friends, there is a huge amount of natural resources databases and the locational databases, what we are talking about. From morning, we were talking about Aadhaar card, UID, beneficiaries, bank customers. But we have not been talking about where they are located, how far they are from the bank. All these answers are given by this technology. Where from the insurance are coming, which are the areas which are vulnerable, and where the insurance sector should work more, which are the areas where the crop is liable to fail, which are the areas which are hazardous, which are the areas which can cause an hazardous zone because of some of the factories which are coming up. All this information are location based. And when you compile and analyze all this information, that gives you some information about where you should concentrate. Where are your potential areas for insurance? And how this insurance can be mitigated. Or finally, finding out the right beneficiaries. That is one of the very important things with this particular technology can help you out. We can tell that which are the areas which can get affected, which are the vulnerable areas, which are the risk zones, and which are the potential zones also. Potential reason for your business also. Friends, the technology which has come up and which has grown, mobile, I was also listening that we want to enable it through the mobile. We are also using the mobile technology for getting your locational position. through GPS. And these GPS locations are getting directly connected to the server. So you know, I know where from that beneficiary is coming from, and whether, like for example, generating an assets. I don't know how I'm going to explain all these things, but the view graph would have been a proper way of explaining this. However, like any assets you talk about in a village, or any assets you talk about in a gram panchayat, or in a state, we should know where these assets are and whether they are functional or not. Because when you are talking about, for example, a disaster management, a disaster mitigations, so the schools will become a shelter. But whether the schools are in a proper condition or not, whether they have the disaster information or not, whether they have the minimum facilities or not, all this information we can get this information on a click of a button. Friend, we are today capturing all this information through the mobile applications. And Maharashtra is creating the Maharashtra One database. That is the digital database through which everybody can share this database. We are also coming up with a data sharing policy, because in India, whenever we ask for data, it becomes restricted. So the sharing policy should also be there, so that this data can be shared across the platform and within the various people. It can be the bankers, it can be the insurance people, or it can be the gram panchayat, or it can be the beneficiaries. All this information which will be available at a click of a button on web. We are trying our level best. Maharashtra government is taking a lot of effort in making this database work, and we are happy to say that the GIS digital database has gone into the SDC, and this will be available within few months of time to all the people on a shareable basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Das. I mean, I just felt that one of the most influential and resourceful person you will be, because you will be having so much of data, particularly of the rural India. Before I come to our concluding remark, Dr. S.K. Sarma, Principal Secretary, who will be giving concluding remarks, I have actually encroached on his job. So I just wanted to make some comments and then go. In morning when I was listening to Chief Minister, and he talked about next level of financial inclusion, I was really happy. Like, we are not talking about access to finance. We are not talking about zero balance account and all that. We are talking something valuable and something which will create wealth. Because I always felt that when we talk about poor, why would we talk zero balance account? Why would we say excess? Because poor don't think that way. They want to create wealth and value. And if we talk about excess, zero balance account, they are not going to come. And I just would like to share my experience of how did we started bank and how we went into technology and all. I've started a Mandeshi Mahila bank. And after starting the bank, I saw that women were not coming to the bank. So I went to Weekly Heart and women who were doing business, and I said that, why didn't you come to the bank? This bank is providing all the facility. So they said that, no, we don't have time to come to your bank. So I said that, okay, not for saving, but at least for loan, why didn't you come? And they said, we don't want even loan from your bank. And then they pointed out a finger to a money lender saying that we do banking with this person. And so I felt that they need financial literacy because they don't know how much interest they are paying to money lender. And I was trying to advise them. Before I do that, I was so happy she stopped me. And she said that, I know how I'm paying very high interest to money lender. There's no need that you should tell me. Why I'm paying it? Because if I go to bank gives papers. They take away my whole day. If I go to money lender, they give me cash. So the first thing was, which I learned from her, is to understand that her time is valuable, create a product in such a way that it matches her. Second, she said that if I want to take a loan in the morning and if I want to repay in evening, moneylender does that, your bank doesn't do that. Second learning was bankers need to innovate. Bankers need to understand the cash flows of poor also, not only rich. Because bankers always create EMIs for repayment. They don't think the way a village woman or a woman who is doing a business on the street, how she operates. Then she tells me that I know that when next time I need loan, if moneylender says yes, he does give me. Banks, if they say yes, they may give, they may not give. So the third lesson for me was that, they have become trustworthy, and why not bank? So these questions actually forced us to design a very different product. Today, Mandeshi provides loan to these women which are on daily basis. We do daily savings, daily repayment, daily savings, weekly repayment. So what I feel is that if we really want to do financial inclusion, I know if you Google, there would be so much technology companies, so many things come up. But the two things are key. One is a credit product. Design a product which is helpful to poor instead of, you designing, understand their cash flow and design the product. Second is delivery, which Mr. Behre also talked about, that you provide doorstep banking, which Mr. Silla also talked, that banks will have to go to people, people do not have to come to the bank. So these two things. And the last thing which I really would like to say is that we talked about Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. And in morning that Yojana was discussed. And I feel the real beauty of that Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is that it has component of overdraft. I tell you, that is such a powerful thing. And if we don't use it, it will be our lazy banking that we don't use it. And if we want to use it, I would say that the poor people can maximum do more than one transaction a day. They will use the overdraft. They will repay your money if they are sure that this overdraft facility is going to continue. But we will have to go to them. Otherwise, they are not going to come to us. So even with Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, if bankers don't go to poor people, it will, I mean, if we really want to make it successful, we have to go to them. And at end, I would say that, many times we talk of financial literacy, digital literacy, we need to teach people. I just want to end that these cards are not ATM cards, electronic passbook, which actually Reserve Bank was not allowing a smart card at that time. At that time, Mandeshi started this electronic passbook in 2002. Women have been using it. These women have never been to the school. But they know. And they know the security part of that also. Because they are the people who have been cheated most. So they know very well. So I just want to be very humble that I have learned all this banking from these rural women, poor people. If we listen to them, I think we will really do we will come to next phase of financial inclusion. So thank you for providing me this an opportunity to coordinate the panel. And now I come to Dr. Sharma, Principal Secretary, Cooperative Department, Maharashtra Government. And Dr. Sharma, I'm little bit also getting an extra thing because myself and Mr. Behre are coming from cooperative banking sector. And I do agree that cooperative banks do have a lot of significant role, particularly a significant role in Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana and direct benefit transfer. If cooperative banks get an opportunity, that would be a great achievement for not only that banking sector, but particularly for people also. So I would request Dr. Sharma to actually advise the auditorium. And also, I'm really grateful to get this opportunity to request Principal Secretary to advise us. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chief Secretary and friends, now we have reached to the fag end of the whole day session, which started in the morning 10 o'clock. And I will not take much of the time because the next session is in waiting, that is the award ceremony. But you see the outreach to the rural and urban poor for financial inclusion, that is the basic theme which has been provided for this session. Here nobody is there for the insurance sector, but I was told in the morning inaugural session, the persons were available here. You see that, so Maharashtra is concerned, the cooperative sector, the cooperative movement is very strong. Still, I can say it is a very strong movement. And this district cooperative bank, if you just see the district cooperative bank, they are in the 31 districts they are operating. The deposit itself is in nearly 60,000 crores. That is the deposit in place. And every year nearly 13 to 14,000 crore, you see that finance they are doing to the agriculture which in the need of the money. And beyond that also there are the really 5 to 6,000 crore, the other sectors also financing is taking place. But when I was just seeing the figure of the last year credit plan, where the 1.31 crore are the farmers, which is in the rural areas, the outreach to this is from the commercial bank, RRVs, private banks in the cooperative sector, including all sectors, it was hardly 55 lakhs. There may be a number of persons which are not eligible for this, but even if that includes, so all this institutional finance may be reaching not more than of the 60% of the requirement where the people are in use of the agriculture sector only is concerned. Then from where the others are getting money, ultimately they are going to the money lenders. And the money lenders, whatever the rate of interest has been fixed by the government notification, they charge much more, and it doesn't reflect in their records that the finance has been given for the agriculture, but they say it has been non-agriculture. Because in the past, the incidents have happened when people have been arrested and others. So we have to make an special efforts to cover maximum number of the persons who are living there, so that they should also get the maximum institutional finance, which we are not in a position to do. This is one component. Even if we go for the primary agriculture credit societies, outside agriculture, their share is going to 3 to 4 thousand crores only. So that reach has to be increased. But I was told that now this district cooperative bank has also been allowed for the Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana. And I was just going the figure of one district only, the Akola DCC Bank. The figure which I got that they have opened nearly 58,000 accounts. I am doubting this figure, but I have been told that is the correct figure. If it is the correct figure with one DCC bank, 58,000 accounts can be opened under the Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana. Why the other banks could not take benefit of it? We have to ensure that other DCC bank also, we are on CBS, should also be aggressively take up this. And once it has been taken, that the outreach to the poor become much more. Same way, your rupee card also, you see the inclusion of the DCC bank, it seems to be, the performance seems to be very poor. Hardly 1 lakh rupee card has been issued by them. So that are the two areas to reach the maximum number of people so that services are utilized. This has to be, the bank has to be, FSC has to be paid by the DCC bank. When I was just going through the urban cooperative figures, the urban cooperative banks, situation in Maharashtra seems to be very impressive compared to overall the country's situation. We are having nearly 32% of the total bank in the urban cooperative bank in the state when we see for the whole country figure. That is, you see that we are having 513 urban cooperative banks. And if you go see their deposits, deposit is going really 1,73,000 is the total deposit in this bank. So whose money has been kept? And that deposit amount is going to about 64% of the whole deposit of the whole country. But I was told recently only that these banks have also been allowed, which are on CBS, for the Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana. Now we have to, as a state, take up the aggressive approach so that the urban cooperative bank, maximum banks should take up this scheme so that they should be in a position to reach maximum number of the rural poor or help them aggressively. So what I was looking for, I was seeing that the commercial bank and the cooperative bank, you see the person in a village or person rural poor or urban poor, they are more comfortable with the working of the cooperative banks. Somehow that is my impression. Because that persons working there, they are the local people. And procedures are slightly simple than the commercial bank procedures. As you were telling rightly, where will I go for a loan, where I can get easily loan. And then the money lender, they get the easy loan, they go to the money lender. If our procedures are very complicated, very cumbersome, and we are not making it a simple procedure, and we are not in a position to make a confidence in our borrower, then definitely we are not in a position to serve what we are supposed to be served. Another thing which I am seeing to it, that our banks, especially the cooperative bank, maybe the urban cooperative bank or the district cooperative bank, their major problem is going on the financial soundness. Many banks are not in a position due to the financial mismanagement or maybe the lack of the capacity or capabilities to manage the financial sound. So these are the areas, until we improve them, we will not be in a position to cover maximum number of people there. I was just seeing the examples of the Gujarat Bank and the same thing which has been called by the Axis Bank, even my friend which have spoken there. So if we want to cover the maximum of the people there, we have to create a confidence in our problem. Our procedures are simple. Without less hurdle, you will get the loan. And once you get the loan, you may be in a position, because what happens, I will tell you a simple example of the commercial bank. Even for withdrawal of the money without check or without ATM card, by withdrawal slip, you will have a lot of difficulty getting that money. You see, first you get the slip. In a one bank I will not name. Even I wanted only last week to withdraw the money through the slip, because that money I wanted to sign it or send it somewhere else. You see, the bank refused to give the withdrawal slip to my peon. When I spoke to the that manager, I want it for personal, I said, then the slip has been received. I don't know the reason behind this. If the system is like, if suppose I am having an account, I am not having the ATM, and my account is in a commercial bank, or if I go for the withdrawal of the money, then it takes a lot of time. So we have to make our procedure so simple. If the person is not having the ATM card, if the person is not having the checkbook, we should be in a position to bank it very in a simple way. So my point is, unless we reach to the poor, create the confidence there, and make them our system so friendly, the person should not feel hesitation in coming to the bank and doing his business. And again coming, going, that becomes a little bit harassment to him, and then he feels that it is better to go to a person, maybe charging more rate of interest, but he is a position, easily I am getting the money, and when I need it, immediately I get it. Suppose I need today, he will give me the money today. So those things has to be done, and we have to make the process simple, transparent. So far as the cooperative bank are concerned, cooperative bank maximum Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana, we have to go aggressively opening these accounts, and we have to go not ATM also and rupee card also. And maximum we should see in urban areas the coverage is good, banking system is good, banking branches network is very good. When the rural area, still people are going to 7 to 8 kilometers just for the bank. So if we do that, then it becomes easy to go to the money lender, and then institutional finance will remain limited to the certain area, and the rest of the area, the money lender or the person who is not even the registered money lender, is an unauthorized money lender, it becomes very prominent, and then exploitation takes place at those times. So these financial inclusion should be the simple. We should be outreach to the poor. We should be in a position. Now the time has come, the bank has to go to the borrower. Borrower is not should come. Until we do that, that is there in urban areas, certain, but not in the rural area. So the cooperative sector is still in today's time, it has not lost its relevance. It has to be, it has to be, the system has improved. We have to see where the drawbacks have taken place. That has to be addressed, and we have to ensure whatever the service it was providing, it should become a more aggressive, more inclusive, and more person. Here also, you see, if you see the size of the person number is coming, even if the percentage may not be much, but the more number of people are taking loan from the cooperative sector than the commercial sector, so far as the poor component is concerned. So this sector has be looked into in that sense, including the more persons with urban and rural areas, and our procedure should be simple, and we have been in a position to reach to the more, and the persons should come. Thank you very much for this. I will be thankful all the panel members which have participated in, especially the persons from the MRSEC who have said how he is in a position to help them, and all my friends which are present over. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for this deliberations in this session. I would request Ms. Chetna Gala Sinha to give away the speaker mementos to the rest of the people on the dais. To Dr. S.K. Sharma, Principal Secretary, Corporation Department, Government of Maharashtra. To Mr. Sanjay Silas, Executive Vice President, Rural Banking, Axis Bank. To Mr. M.N. Smart, CEO, Associate Cooperative Bank Limited. To Mr. Narendra Behra, CEO, Greater Bank. And to Dr. Subrata N. Das, Director, Maharashtra Remote Sensing Application Center. I would request Dr. S.K. Sharma to give away the speaker memento to our session chair, Ms. Chetna Gala Sinha, Founder Director, Man Mahila Desi Cooperative Bank. Thank you all for this amazing session. I would request everybody to come forward for a group photograph. Thank you all. I would now hand over it to my colleague, Karthik, for the next session.